Hello guys and welcome, it's me Kvothe, and yes, I'm alive, but always remember the merc is slow. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. But enough of this. So a lot of people actually ask me in the comments about the build that I'm using, and just to elaborate on this a little bit more. So I decided to make this video just to showcase you what is the Wind Druid, what can it do, what kind of consideration I have and what build state I have at the moment. And basically looking forward, what could it be? As usually, let's start with the stats and skills because they are pretty straightforward, just to get it out of the way, and then moving on to the real part. Alright, let's go over the stats first. I'm level 92. As you can see, I haven't played for a while, so I did not level as quick as possible to, let's say, 95. I have strength 138, 133 points base, just to wear this spirit shield on the swap, so to have a boost of 1 skill to the CTA, but you can even lower it down to have only the Grim Shield, so the lidless wall, and then you don't need as much. I might consider respecking as soon as I have it. Dexterity, I have 35 base points, so in order to wear the Heart of the Oak Runeword in the flail, I might need to change this later for the Horizons Tornado, but let's talk about it later. And then the rest of the points into Vitality. I have 442 Vitality, and this gives me roughly 1300 life without any buffs from my Oak Sage or CTA. And then almost capped resistances, so namely fire is 78, lightning res is 80, cold resist 61, and poison 36, which is not too bad, and it's probably not so needed at the moment. At least I didn't see the need so far. Let's look at the skills. So again, I think this is pretty straightforward, starting with elemental skills. I capped, of course, Twister and all the synergies, so Hurricane, Tornado, and Arctic Blast, and 1 point into Cyclone Armor and Gust. Then 0 points into Shapeshifting and 1 point into Summon Grizzly, because he's just amazing tank. And then rest of the points into Oak Sage to get as much plus life as possible. Okay, now let's have the pre-buffs and see what we have in the end. The battle orders, battle command, and switching back. So now I have slightly over 2000 life. Then my Cyclone Armor absorbs about 550 damage, which is not too much, but still it can help. Sometimes I recast it. And the Twister has skill level 44 and deals on average 9,500 damage. Alright, let's look at the items now. I will go through each of the items and discuss the potential options for improvement and why do I have each of these in the slots. Okay, so the Chance Guards, simply because for the MF and Lightning Resist, I haven't found any use in FCR gloves, whether Mage Fist or Trungus or crafted ones, simply because I don't need FCR as much. I don't think it is useful to go for 163 FCR breakpoint on this build. So yeah, I have my 99 with relatively easy setup and don't really need to overpower it. So yeah, more MF, mana after each kill here, and Lightning Res Corrupt is quite helpful. Then as a shield I use Lidless Wall with Rune in it to have more resistances. So 2 skills is quite good, of course, FCR is good, and you can see I have here +5 max Lightning Res Corrupt with more Lightning Res. Again, mana after each kill is really nice, even though I'm using the Meditation Merc, this still helps to sustain the mana pool always at the top amount. Potentially what you can improve here is definitely having a better Lidless Wall, so I would say +3 skills with +1 skill Corrupt and 2 sockets would be ideal. And yeah, that's pretty much what you desire here. I didn't mention here in the glove slot what could else be useful. So I have been considering maybe using some either bountiful crafted gloves if they turn out really well with resistances and maximum MF and maybe good corruption. Or I was also thinking about soul drainers for the minus physical res on the enemies, but it's really hard with this build to kind of outbalance the drain life, because you cannot leech, only life after each kill can work here, so I don't think that would be a viable option. Alright, let's go to the armor piece. I use KvotheD's Wisdom. Again, 2 skills is really nice, and 20 FCR with 20 FHR is just amazing item. More mana after each kill is also really nice, of course, for already mentioned reasons. And I have it with 1 socket and topaz in it. The corruption was the replenish life, so nothing great. Of course, here again I would recommend having the +3 KvotheDs with 2 sockets, and then you can socket it with more topazes, so to have more magic find. Yeah, I don't think there is any other really useful option here, unless you really want to go for that 163 FCR, then probably Atmas is a better choice. Weapon. Heart of the Oak right now for me. I still use it from like day 3 I think on this druid, simply because +3 to all skills really helps to boost the bear and oak sage, so it's a very well-rounded weapon. 30 FCR is great, and all resistances 30 is also really nice. Increasing maximum mana 15%, also a good thing for the start, but in the end really I don't run out of it anymore. So here the improvement could be of course the Horizon's Tornado. So the 5 to Twister is the most important thing. Tornado really doesn't matter that much, because barely you use it, only on the bosses. The downside, of course, is that you need a corruption of 4 sockets in order to close the gap of resistances and add perhaps 2 East runes. So for me, having the +5 Twister on the Horizon Tornado with 4 sockets, 2 jewels for 15 all res, maybe with some other good stats, and 2 East runes would be the perfect option. I didn't find any other better weapon for this build. We don't need to exchange FCR because it's the same on the Hoto and also on the Horizon's Tornado, so that would be my end weapon option. Boots. Actually, boots is kind of whatever piece of gear here. I think the most important part would be here to find the Cannot Be Frozen, or well, get it corrupted with. Alders seem to be just the better all-rounded boots for this build, for the extra fire res that they provide, 50 life and a really fast run walk, although at the later stages you almost only use the gust skill to relocate, but still running fast is useful. So yeah, my ideal boots here would be the Alders with the Cannot Be Frozen corruption, I would say. I don't think anything else is really as useful, because I still need this fire res. Let's move on to the belt. So I use a crafted belt that I did in the Bountiful session, crafted with 5 to all resistances. This one gives me 10 FCR, 17 FHR, 5 all attributes, lightning res and 30 MF. Overall, this is pretty well-rounded option, so you can actually also craft one of these for yourself. Otherwise, before I was using the Trungle's belt for Cannot Be Frozen, that I really needed, and it also had some life. I think the only option that I would swap this belt for either the other 2 crafted belts that I have, or maybe Arachnid Mesh. The only downside of Arachnid Mesh is that it only has a skill and FCR and nothing really else useful, and since I don't need that much FCR anymore, it's basically only 1 to all skills. Unless you corrupt it with something extremely good, I don't really see the use of it. Maybe, yeah, min-maxing the damage with 1 more skill is great, but otherwise it's a bit hard for me to decide why would I use it over, for example, this one. Let's look at the headgear. So I'm using KvotheD. This one luckily corrupted with +1 to all skills, but sadly puzzle box with only one socket. The reason why I use this one is because it gives the gust cooldown reduction by 2 seconds, also gives 10 FCR, and yeah, now it also has 3 to all skills. Life after each kill, 2 is nice. Of course would be better to have 4, and cold res also not anti-perfect, but well, that's where I got the +1 skill corruption. So the reason why is it so good is because with reducing the gust cooldown, I don't need to spend any skill points on gust at all. So I already have it at 0.5 seconds, so the cap, and I can pretty much teleport through the map or any area. It doesn't really take so much. So it's like a teleport with 12 frames, kind of a slow sorceress. If you put here, for example, the Jalaus main or the other helm that has, I think, +3 to elemental skills, you will then need to boost more into the gust or get way more plus skills in order to get to the cap of the cooldown, and by doing this your Orc Sage will suffer. So generally it will provide less health to all your minions in your party, for example. So overall everybody except you will suffer, and also you, but with this item, with KvotheD, you can keep the highest life pool possible. So again, I think if I get another +7 skills elsewhere, so like one more skiller and perhaps +1 to skill corruptions, then in the end I could swap, because I will reach like 0.7 or 0.5 gust cooldown anyways. But at the early stage, in my opinion, this is the best helm you can have. The amulet. The amulet is pretty bad in my opinion, so it only gives +3 to elemental skills. To be honest, I think I would opt for +3 elemental skills and +1 to all skills corruption, simply because I don't really need anything else on right now. Like I don't need more resistances or any other stats. Of course, really godly 2 skills and +1 corruption with some resistances, MF and FCR crafted Emi would be probably still a better option, but it's really so hard to get, so I would just take the +3 elemental skills and +1 to all skills. My first ring here is another 10 FCR to get to the 99 breakpoint, and 18 fire res with extra mana, and just 25 MF. So this one is again good because it just covers my fire res and adds MF and FCR. And the other one, as you probably have guessed already, is Ravenfrost, as I don't have any other Cannot Be Frozen source. Again, if I get the boots with Cannot Be Frozen, then I would swap out this one for example SOJ or Bull Cathos, so one of those would be way better, maybe even a Wisp Projector. Now let's have a look quickly on the swap. As I mentioned, I have the Spirit Rune Word already. It was kind of a quick staple shield to have +1 skill for my CTA, because it rolled so bad. It's 4 battle commands, 2 battle orders. Yeah, you cannot imagine anything worse, I guess. But yeah, it is what it is. So, and yeah, of course I use CTA just to boost the +1 skill and life to everybody in the party. Now let's have a quick look at my stats. I have 101 fire res, 61 cold res, 99 lightning res, and 36 poison res. Again, consider the conviction aura that can drop them really down, so you want to have them overcapped so that you have more chances to survive. Being a little bit absorption, 7% from the Ravenfrost, if I'm not wrong. I have 0 damage reduction, which is pretty bad, but on the other side I have basically 3 meat shields, the bear, the spirit, and the mercenary, that will take a lot of damage for you. And yeah, I think when you teleport, they get on top of you and actually they get all the damage instead of you. So it's pretty safe, I would say. And then you just stay behind them, put everybody in a hit recovery with your twisters, and it works out fine. Next, I have 100 cast rate, which is enough. As I said already, the 99 breakpoint is basically as good as you need. For this build, I don't think the 163 will change it massively. You will probably have to sacrifice a lot of gear pieces for this. Hit recovery 42. Again, that's thanks to the 17 SCR here, 20 on the KvotheD, and then I think I have, yeah, one plain FHR, small charm. It's really useful to have good FHR, so for example, if you get somewhere corruption with FHR, keep it if you, let's say, don't need anything else crucial there, because yeah, it just helps to get out of the bad situations in some maps, for example. And lastly, I have 203 magic find and 300 gold find, so I think this is also pretty much enough for mapping or any regular vanilla content farming. Of course, with maps you get from like 30 to 80 more MF, which is again pretty much sufficient what you have and what you need. I have Grand Charms that gets Fortune with 39, then plain Elemental Skillers, one with 29 life and the others I think still plain. Didn't have much time to trade for the lifer ones, nor had I any currency to do so. I managed to get the Hellfire Torch, quite cheap I think, this one. Then also I got the Annihilus. I bought it for, well, for the Jar Rune and unidentified one, and it rolled. You see how great it is, but at least all resistances 19 is pretty nice for me. And the rest is all res, life, other resistances plus life, just lightning res, then MF, and so on. So different small charms. And again, I keep this 5 FHR just to hit the 42 breakpoint, as it is really helpful. Okay, let's look at the Mercenary now and why this Mercenary is so crucial for this build. So again, it's Act 1 Mercenary with a Meditation Aura. And the most crucial piece of gear here is this Wrath Foreword in a 15% superior Great Bow. Damage is not so important because, well, there is no enhanced damage and she will not deal much damage at all. But what is the most important here is the attack speed. I think as Spunksy mentioned already multiple times that you can actually do it in a Demon Crossbow to have even higher attack speed. But, well, I kind of stick to the original and to the Great Bow, which is I think one of the fastest bases. What is the most important is in the Season 3 it gives 60% chance to cast level 18 amplified damage on striking. With a strafe skill on this Mercenary and high attack speed, she literally gives amplified damage on everything around you. This is the most important part, of course, of this build. And with this level 18 amplified damage, you can break majority of the immunities. I think only the rarest immune with a stone skin cannot be broken, but you rarely see them. And for those cases you have Hurricane and Arctic Blast to deal with. So yeah, this is the most crucial piece of gear here. What you can exchange it for, or if you don't have a Bear Rune yet, but I would say this is the first Bear Rune that you need to invest into this build, is going into this Rune Word. It makes everything much easier. If you don't have the Bear Rune yet, then Witch Wield String Bow with 3 sockets is good enough. It gives, I think, 18% chance of casting amplified damage. So as a starting option, this would be pretty good. Then I have, yeah, the Laying of Hands for resistances and increased attack speed. And to be honest, I didn't really theory craft a lot about this Mercenary, so I'm not sure what would be the best gear for her. But I kind of went from the basics and gave her a little bit of a physical damage reduction here with a String of Ears. Then Treachery for FHR and more increased attack speed. Then for the headgear, I kind of considered different options, but in the end decided why not to give her this Grizzballs Corona with 3 perfect rubies, just to have a lot of life. It gives all resistances to her, some MF, and yeah, Cold Absorb. Honestly, as she will not deal much damage, you don't need to give her Guillaume's face or Andy's visage, which I think I still haven't found and I don't want to buy it. I have a vampire gaze, which could be useful, but again, really having that extra physical damage reduction, I never needed it, so she never dies, so I thought that this would be just the all-rounding option, still better. Also, the same with the Shaco, kind of not so much use of it for her, plus extra skills don't give her much, but yeah, I don't know. And the boots, yeah, the same Aldous Advance battle boots. Alright, so that was basically the main information on the build and some consideration that I have. But now let's have a little bit of a showcase. What could it do? I will go mostly with some of the vanilla content just to show you the popular places. Maps, I think you can make already an idea from my mapping videos how it looks like. So yeah, let's start with the classic, with the Shank and Eldritch. So let's recast everybody. I'm a little bit rusty since I haven't played a lot. Yeah, so you can see those literally melted. Now that's what I meant with teleporting speed. It's pretty decent. The amplified damage goes right away. Okay, let's TP back. I'll show you also the driving cost, so you have an idea how really quick it is to farm with this build, the driving cost. Didn't even cast the hurricane. Yeah, you can see all of them already dead. The last one, even Stowskin with the amplified damage just dies immediately. Let's also have a look maybe at the Cow Sanctuary, not a full run, but just to give you a little bit of an idea. Let's go. So for example, these ones have high physical damage resistance, but still they die really quick thanks to the amplified damage. It just melts everything. You can see it's like goes like knife through the butter, really easy. To be honest, one of the main complaints that I have to this build is that my wrist and my finger get tired on clicking the twister, so I really at some point got very sore hand and couldn't really play for a couple of days just to relax a little bit. But yeah, otherwise you see everything dies super quick, just insanely quick. Sadly it died over the void. And yeah, for example, if we want to see Diablo himself, let's do quickly the seals. You could see probably as well that I haven't had any damage dealt to me whatsoever, so it's super chill. Yeah, even standing in there wasn't doing anything. Let's see if anything dropped. Perfect diamond, but yeah, whatever. Let's do a recast quickly. Diablo for some reason only likes to deal damage to the mercenary. Yeah, he dies pretty quick. He even didn't get the amplified damage proc. Yeah, so I wouldn't go much further, not to prolong the video too much, but yeah, you can see this content is super quick. The peat melts immediately and you can also get there super fast thanks to the cast skill. The Warstone Keep with the Bale is about 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes in total, or I think 5 I measured last time. The Cow Sanctuary can be done in under 2.5 minutes, something like that. And tier 1 maps go with 200 density, 15 to 18 minutes, I think, if you are not extremely aggressive, but a bit more safe. And tier 2 maps, I didn't have much experience yet, so I couldn't tell. Yeah, that's the build, and honestly, I have to say it's really enjoyable. It is solo, self-found, viable. You can really sustain and farm basically any area for any purpose, for items, for runes. And yeah, you can, as I basically did, start from the beginning with this build, rocking everything with Arctic Blast and getting to the Twister and Tornado and just leveling through it. So yeah, it is amazing build. I'm glad they made it so viable and powerful, even with not such crazy gear. So I think it was already very well, only with, I think, level 37, 35, it was already great. So with plus 15 skills, which you can get with, I don't know, 7 skillers and some basic plus 1 skill items, you will already have good damage and survivability everywhere. On that note, I would say thank you for watching, and yeah, hope to see you next time. Bye guys!